It is once again that time where I bring you the weekly power rankings. This week, I bring to you week 11, where we'll talk about the teams that are rising and the teams that are slowly falling towards the bottom in our league. Our first place team is Tyler and Miles Colin again with another win this week. I'm getting tired of saying it. 7-3, this is a strong looking team. Something that I'm also going to do this week is I'm going to tell you what your record was for the first 5 games and what it was for the last 5 games so you get a better idea of where these power rankings are coming from. Now, some of them I am going to talk a little bit more in depth because that will show maybe a mid-season little slump that you had or a good first 2 games or a bad last 2 games, whatever the case may be, but that stat may tell a lot for some of these teams. Tyler Miles Colin with a 7-3 record. Obviously, the record hasn't really been bad at any point in the season, but for the first 5 games, they went 4-1. For the next 5 games, they have gone 3-2. Both are winning records. Both are not really struggling at all. So in that sense, I have this team in the first place spot. Our next place team is Kevin Davis. I have this team rising again simply because he took down Ryan Naughton this week, the first place team in our league a few weeks back, and the second place team for the previous few weeks. But me sitting at a 6-4 record, I dropped a solid 135 points. This team is firing in all cylinders. I also moved my team up to second because if you watch the Packers game, Aaron Jones looks to be an RB1. If he drops 30 points or even 20 points in the coming weeks, this team will be a force going forward. Kevin's first 5 games were 2-3. His next 5 games were 4-1. This is a team that you don't want to mess with. A 4-1 record for the second half of the season. The next place team is Cubby with a 7-3 record. This team is looking good as well. Just like I talked about my team looking well, Cubby's team is also looking really, really good. A healthy Dalvin Cook, a healthy Leonard Fournette. This team is coming together. I must be honest, I didn't think Leonard Fournette would be great his first game back. He proved me completely wrong. Leonard Fournette looks to be the workhorse once again in Jacksonville. Their offense looks good with him on it. Cubby did lose Cooper Kupp this week. I don't see that as a problem since Dalvin Cook was on bye and Cubby still got the win. The only reason that I don't put Cubby in the second place spot, and maybe I will in the coming weeks, Cubby only did put up 120 points this week. That's a great week, but it's also pretty average. I haven't seen Cubby's team go off. I have not seen it go over 130 points. I've seen Kevin and Tyler's team do that quite often. So until then, I'll leave Cubby right here. Cubby's first 5 games were 4-0. Then middle of the season, he went 0-3. Then the last 3 weeks, he went 3-0. Cubby's season so far really is the tale of 3, with going strong in the first part, a weak middle half, and then a strong ending to the season here. Our next place team is Ryan Naughton. He is falling in the league. He has a 6-4 record. I did say Saquon Barkley was going to fall off a bit. I did not think it would be in that sense. The Giants' offense looked to be moving, and the reason it was moving was because of Eli Manning, which sucks for Ryan Naughton. But his team is still good. He still sits at a 6-4 record, but he lost to me this week, so I have him losing a bit of steam. Ryan's first 5 games were 4-1, and since then he has been 2-3. So Ryan's team has slowly been slumping here. It is not looking great heading into the playoffs, but we do have 3 weeks remaining. Maybe he can turn it around. Our next place team is Josh Kerr, and I have this team rising. Once again, I cannot get this little gray bar next to Josh Kerr's name. He is simply winning and then losing. This week, though, he dropped 150 points, and just like I said with Cubby's team hasn't dropped over that 120, 130 barrier, but Josh's team has dropped over 150 points either 2 or 3 times this season. With a 5-5 record being very inconsistent, he is still a force in this league. Right now, I'll leave him right at the middle of the pack. I'm interested to see his coming matchups the next 3 weeks. Josh's first 5 games was 2-3, and then his last 5 games were 3-2. You could all see that coming since he has 1 loss, 1 loss, 1 loss. Our next place team is Jake Kerr with a 5-5 record. Jake Kerr also dropped a very good point total this week, and that is why I have him rising in our league. Jake's team has been on the rise for quite some time, but it didn't seem like wins were coming his way. If Jake does sneak into the playoffs, and I think this team has the most potential to sneak into the playoffs, it will be a force. People will not want to play this team in the playoffs. Jake, the first 5 games, went 1-4. Jake, the next 5 games, 4-1. This is the tale of 2 seasons for Jake Kerr, 2 seasons in 1. He went 1-4 and is quickly turned around 4-1. I think Jake's team has always been good, but I think he's finally piling on the wins. Hopefully it's not too late for him, but with 3 teams sitting 5-5, I think he has a good shot of making it. Our next place team is Ross Davis with a 5-5 record. This team is also rising. Ross has put up good point totals in the previous weeks. He had DeAndre Hopkins on bye this week. I like Ross's team going forward. I think he will sneak into the playoffs. Ross's first 5 games were 2-3, and since then he has been 3-2. So Ross's team also has been a little bit inconsistent. Our next place team, and sorry Drew Michael, again I am dropping you in the power rankings. With a 6-4 record, this is the winning record that is projected not to make the playoffs. And it's simply because this team is not putting up good point totals. It is not looking good. Even if this team does sneak into the playoffs, which, I mean, with a 6-4 record, it favors him. But I do not like this team. 6-4. His first 5 games were 5-0. And since then, Drew Michael has been 1-4. 1-4. That is why I have him dropping the power rankings. He might call me crazy for doing it, but 1-4 in the last 5 games is simply just not good. Our next place team is Matt Davis, holding that second to last spot for a few weeks now at 3-7. He dropped another game this week. And our last place team is Ryan Smith with the 0-10 record. Ryan Smith's last 5 games have been 0-5. Previously, he has been 0-5. Alrighty, it is time for our 5 takeaways from Week 10 that we just wrapped up. Point number 1, Kevin Davis should never predict Monday Night Football ever again. He has tried to predict it 2 weeks in a row now, and both times he has been completely wrong. I called that Ross Davis would lose to Tyler. There was simply no way Dion Lewis was going to drop that many points. He did it. Ross Davis beat Tyler. And then I went on and on about how Saquon Barkley was going to score a ton of points. And to be fair, he got more carries than he ever has this season. Eli Manning threw for more touchdowns than he ever has this season with no interceptions. They were also playing the 28th ranked defense in the NFL. Saquon Barkley put up 12 points and Kevin Davis was once again wrong. Wow. Not predicting Monday Night Football ever again. Point number 2, Josh continues his win-loss streak. Yet again, he'd proved me right again that he would do it, that his team would just lose and then he'd come back with a 150-point week. So congratulations to Josh Kerr. I hope you break the streak this week and get another win. That will make the playoffs interesting. If Josh gets a win this week, I like his chances to make the playoffs. Point number 3, the Ryan Smith highlight reel. Well, it just keeps on going. He just keeps on losing and keeps on making those highlights. This week, he set a league low, breaking the record Cubby has set with 56.2 points in a week. Yikes. Our next takeaway, not really from Week 10, but looking forward to Week 11 because we have another exciting week. I just want to hit on a few things. We have a 7-3 team against a 7-3 team. We have the 2 top teams in our league. Tyler against Cubby. This could be implications for that bye spot in the playoffs. So the winner of this will get that bye spot locked up. Also, we have a 6-4 team and a 6-4 team. We have Drew Michael against Ryan Naughton. These have been 2 slumping teams in the past, but a team with a win here has secured its spot in the playoffs. The other team will be on the verge of not making the playoffs and will make it pretty interesting, put them on the hot seat for the last 2 weeks. Then our other matchup is a 5-5 team against a 5-5 team. We have the brothers dueling it off, 5-5, 5-5. Josh Kerr against Jake Kerr. This is a really interesting matchup because I think both of these teams are really good. It surprises me that they're both 5-5. Yet whoever wins here has a good chance of making the playoffs. Whoever loses here has a good chance of not making the playoffs. Week 11 will determine the fate of these two teams. I find that very interesting. I look forward to this matchup. A little brotherly rivalry. Should be an interesting one. And point number 5. If the playoffs started today, it's only 3 weeks away. It seems like yesterday we were doing the draft in downtown Chicago, but now it's crunch time. We have the playoffs in 3 weeks. If the playoffs started today, Jake Kerr, Josh Kerr, Matt Davis, and Ryan Smith would all be out of the playoffs and would be battling for that Sacco Bowl. We would have Tyler with the bye and Cubby with the bye. I do not think this is where everybody stands. I think there'll be a lot of shakeup in the next 3 weeks, but I look forward to week 11. I feel like I keep on saying it every week, but this next week is going to be our craziest week yet. There will be laughter, there will be tears, and there will be anal fisting.